Hello and welcome to another episode of the Captain's Table Podcast.
Where am I?
My name is Paul Berserker01, Batman Shelley, your humble host and space bartender here at the Astro Pub. Am I loud suddenly?
Stop looking at my skirt, Darsh.
Anywho, welcome. My name is Paul Berserker01, Batman Shelley, your humble host and space bartender here at the Astro Pub, your professor on the Astro Historian and your facilitator here on the Captain's Table Podcast. This is coming out to you via the YouTube. If you are watching this after the fact on YouTube or watching this live on YouTube, make sure that you check us out at the Captain's Table Podcast on YouTube. The link should be in the description for those of you watching this live. I'm slowly going to be moving over this series, this podcast, to being live on that channel as well. But I need to build up the audience there, make sure people are watching, make people are, commenting and subscribing. We got a good, healthy right now, a good amount. We're a little over 460 subscribers on that one. The goal is to get about, 1,000 subscribers before we get all that kind of stuff. So, and we're also on Spotify. So look up the Captain's Table Podcast on Spotify. Make sure you check us out. Make sure you leave a rating and a review. I'm going to try to push that a little bit more. That goes up. The full podcast goes up. The After Dark section and the regular section, they get combined together and they get released on Mondays at 10 a.m. Eastern. So you can listen to that. With that all being said, let's get started by introducing the cast for today, starting with the Space Coder. Who are you? What do you do in Star Citizen, and where can they find you?
Oh, hello, citizens. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I am the Space Coder. I guess I do everything now because I'm a content creator. I have a YouTube channel. I have a podcast, so I stream. And I have not one, but two community tools that are going to help you be a better citizen. Number one, the Armory for all your FPS gear needs. And number two, the Hauler for those of you who like to deliver boxes in the verse. It uses math, not AI, to make your hauling faster. Trust me. And you can find all of my stuff somewhere on the link below this if Paul puts it there.
I will put it there. I should actually put that there right now, so I actually have it there. Because I have the wrong cast.
I think we lost Dorj.
At Oop. And then JRDF Design. Nope, that's not it.
Awkward silence.
Axis.
While the host is typing.
Yeah, I'm trying to type things in real quickly, waiting for Darsh to come back. 096. There we go.
I'm just lurking here.
Yeah, your camera's
for my internet.
Oh, your internet?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll skip you for now, Darsh, and I'll go to Axis. Axis, who are you? What do you do in Star Citizen, and where can they find you?
07 everyone, my name is Axis 0096. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, good. I am your resident explorer, hopefully construction foreman in the coming months and years. And, host of my channel, Axis 0096 on YouTube. And I'm 3 other places. YouTube, Twitch, Kick, and Rumble. And it's A096 on Kick, Axis 0096X on Rumble, and, lowercase Axis 0096 on Twitch and uppercase on Twitch. I'm going to have to remember that next time because...
Okay, awesome.
You need to work on your branding. That's all I'll say.
I did actually try to get uppercase on Kick. It wouldn't let me. Someone stole it.
Darsh, who are you? What do you do in Star Citizen, and where can I find you?
Hello, I'm Darj, nay Darionator. That's a joke that like 2 people was gonna understand in this chat. I am Darionator everywhere. If you just want to look me up. But primarily, right these days, I am the lead modeler at jrdf.sc. your one-stop shop for all your kit model needs. That's something exciting's happening on Coramore or Valentine's Day. So pay attention to that. Basically, we're launching the Raven finally.
Yay!
And somewhat about 30 pre-orders that already came in or have already been delivered, and we'll be opening the stock and the shelves to everyone come Valentine's Day. Also, hopefully at the same time, also opening up the EU shop. Unfortunately, there won't be any Ravens there. There's just a limited stock of other kits and dioramas, but Ravens are still in active production, so I don't have any of them just yet.
Okay.
Bless you.
Yes, I've been a
but
long
other
time
than
supporter
that,
of JRDF, so I love the models and everything like that as a modeler, as a hobbyist. So
Yes. Yeah, and the Raven's a very nice one. But other than that, I am here to kick ass and make sandwiches. However, I don't have access to any facilities to research and produce said sandwiches. But I believe that's what we're here to talk about today.
yes, we're here to talk about producing and researching sandwiches. I really hope that CIG can make sandwich.
Could go for a sandwich.
All right, let's start with. We're gonna do some bouncing around here because of this. I'm gonna start with you, Darj. So the question, the topic that at hand, it's you see it in the title, which is, does base building belong in Star Citizen? Because there has been discussions that I've seen people say that base building doesn't belong in Star Citizen and it's going to ruin the experience of Star Citizen. People saying that this is turning Star Citizen into Rust or to Ark, and that it's ruining the sort of space exploration and space combat and the sort of like space opera experience that Star Citizen was trying to build. So I'll start with you, Darj, because before we can even get to that discussion, what is base building in Star Citizen to you? So when you hear the word base building, what are you thinking? So we can be all on the same page of like what base building is.
Well, I'm gonna start differently. It's like whose idea of Star Citizen are we talking about here? Some random backers who came on the project like 4 years ago, or are we talking Chris Roberts' idea of Star Citizen, who has been dreaming about this since he was 16 and working at Origin?
I mean, that's a good point, but the question is more based around the idea of, because I think a lot of folks, when they see or hear base building, they're thinking of other games that have base building, and those games tend to be focused on survival, which is something that Chris Roberts said explicitly at the beginning of the whole project, that he didn't want to create a survival game. And so
this is true, but you don't have to have base building just to have survival.
Exactly. But that's why I'm going to say we need to define what base building means.
Yeah.
You know,
what was that Star Wars game where you could build your own
Star Wars Galaxies?
Base?
Yeah.
Galaxies. Was that a survival game? Or was that just basically just Star Wars space opera? Yeah, of course. I feel like at heart, Star Citizen is not going to change just because people will gain the ability to put down roots if they want to, or create facilities where they can start participating in the economy by becoming the greatest producers of sandwiches in this system. I'll have you know. But yeah, I think that like the core of Star Citizen is still going to be like the whole thing, just reaching for the stars. Just base building just lets you create stepping stones, I suppose, on that journey.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so you see
outposts, refineries, refueling bases. Like you could have, a ship outfitting base, like on the edge of explored space, for other people, to have their last port of call before they go out into the unknown. And that's just going to be super cool because it's not going to be something that CIG thought of putting in that location, to guide everybody. It's some guy or some gal or other decided to say, I like the space, I'm gonna put up my quasi cryastro here,
Okay.
so people can use it. Why
So,
not?
so you see it more as like you said a stepping stone, so sort of like an assist to the other gameplay loops. It's less of its own gameplay loops and sort of like a supporting feature.
Exactly. Yeah. That's because we've had survival aspects in Star Citizen for quite a while now, and they have been, if anything, benign. They're there just to remind you that even your own body is a system that you need to take care of, but it's not something like in game like Raft where you need to eat every 15 seconds, otherwise you starve to death. It's not an integral mechanic to push it to make you keep playing. It's not there isn't a grind attached to the survival, which is stuff like games like that are adhering to.
Okay.
So yeah,
Axis.
that's my position on it.
Same question for you. What is base building to you?
Similar answers. Main reason because, and someone in the comments, Jenna, basically says it enables many gaming loops. It also adds to them. Like if you have a mining outpost, where are you going to store stuff while you wait for transports to take your goods to refineries? Say you don't have a refinery on site. What are you going to do about, storing minerals while your static mining operations running? You're not just going to let it keep going because you'll damage your facilities that way. You're going to have somewhere to offload your materials, be it for liquid materials or raw materials like rocks and stuff. I mean, I know a little bit about this being semi-acquainted with geology. When you dig up stuff, you have to have somewhere to store it before you cart it off to a furnace to be smelted, like metals and stuff. You have to have excavators. You have to have trucks, like in the case of the Argo trucks we have, the builder truck, we have the other truck, the cargo truck unit that came out that acts as an intermediary between whatever raw materials you put in it and it travels to the work site. So,
all right. Space Coder, your thoughts. What is base building?
Well, I think, for me, I look at it in two levels. Number one, it allows you to set up a base of operations in an area, however temporary or permanent. Let's say, you go to a system, you want to stay there, you want to mine, there is some resource you want to exploit, or maybe you're supporting some combat operations there. You build up a little base so you can repair, rearm, respawn. And two, as an extension of that, it gives individuals and groups the ability and the tools to extend control over certain areas or over certain resources, because we know that we're going to have that faction power play meta mechanic going on eventually in the future, whenever that happens.
Yeah.
Exploitation citizen, yes.
Well, it's based on late stage capitalism, so
yeah. So let's move on to the to the next question, which I have, which has to do with what are some of the pitfalls that CIG could fall into with base building that you would like them to kind of avoid? What are some of the issues that might come up with base building specifically? And I'll start with you on this one, Space Coder.
Well, so the thing that jumps out at me immediately is there's however many million players in the verse. Let's say half of them want to build some kind of a base. There's not enough room. There's just not enough room. No matter how small the plots are, I'm assuming, people or CIG will want to have some separation between
the plots,
individual people's bases. So, you can't, it's unclaimed land, but there is a however many kilometer buffer zone between the plots that you can claim. I don't know.
Teacher,
The math
teacher,
is not
Yes,
mathing.
Darsh.
Teacher, I did the math. I did the math for every player if they want a a plot. Just one of the moons in Stanton is big enough to house everyone with no one seeing each other's plot beyond the horizon.
I'm gonna need to see that spreadsheet, sir.
I kind of, but you also got to remember, and I think this is also where Space Coder is starting at. CIG also needs places so they can put stuff in the future.
Yeah,
like abandoned outposts and abandoned research facilities and all these other things. So they're going to have areas which they even said are protected zones.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm starting off at, because I think they want to have space instead of what you see in No Man's Sky, where if you fly 2 minutes in either direction, there's going to be 10 points of interest, or 10 different bases, or 10 different settlements. And my second concern is, how are they going to clean up the abandoned bases? Because eventually, people are going to settle somewhere and they're going to abandon because they stop playing, or
they messed up somewhere, and they're like, I'll start off of somewhere else with my friends or whatever, or consolidated, or
obviously in, those lawful areas, you're not going to be paying your taxes. So that's, I'm assuming, going to clean up the base automatically. But if you go to like that complete lawless area where there's no taxes, and if you have abandoned the base, there is nothing of value for someone to take away, then it's just going to be there. And yes, I agree. Coders are traditionally bad at math. So yeah, and confirm. I am very bad at math. That's why I am a software developer. In finance, no less.
Well, you just have to make sure the math works. You don't actually do the math.
Yeah.
So,
you don't need to understand it. You just have to know how to implement it. It's sorcery. It's fine.
Darsh, same question to you. What are some of the traps that CIG could fall into, or some of the problems they may face?
Right. So first off, I would just want to attach to the previous comment. So that is a hypothetical moon with a perfectly flat surface and no other intended points of interest. Yeah. So the usable surface area of a moon still is reduced, but it's still huge. So maybe 2 or 3 moons is all you would need, but if you spread that out to all the system that we're going to have, I think we'll have enough, especially because not a lot of people will want to settle down in gravity, and just build an asteroid base, and asteroid belts are levels of what's the phrase? Orders of magnitude larger than moons in terms of available space. So yeah, I want to say there's enough space. In terms of what sort of pitfalls CAG can fall into, I don't want the base building to be too granular.
Okay.
I don't want it to be a grind. I don't want there, to have like I'm gonna put this kind of wall on this side, and then I put this sort of wall with a window over here on this side, and then the roof is gonna be like this on this side, and then on this side is gonna be a completely different kind of roof.
So you don't want like the rust or like arc style like building.
It's or the forest or something like that. I like the idea of just having prefabs. That you can purchase, basically, or plans for prefabs that you can purchase, and then it'll just be built for you. Just because, if you base it on modules or just standalone buildings, it maintains a sort of design cohesiveness that CIG is very keen on. Even though they want to give the players full power, I don't think they would be very happy to see someone, like thousands of penis-shaped buildings across the verse, because that's exactly what the players are gonna do. I mean, even the towns are gonna be penis-shaped. Come on, it's just gonna happen.
You also have honeycomb situation, wherein in like Rust and Arc and into degrees DayZ, the best way of building a base is not to make a base that's aesthetically pleasing. It's to make a base that has got so many levels and walls that it requires way too many resources to break into. You basically make a base so convoluted it looks like the Winchester Mystery House, like something that just doors that lead into doors, lead into doors, lead into doors, and it's just like all the way around to make it as painful and slow as possible to try to break in and take stuff, and that's not fun. It's boring design. So,
well, I like that sort of customization because I like designing my own things. For a game like Star Citizen, I think that it would be pushing it too far, just because you get too bogged down on the minutia of creating a building without because creating if you have to build it, it may not work on anywhere other than one gravity, one atmosphere built for humans sort of situations, right? So you kind of have to rely on prefabs. It just makes sort of sense in the game that we're playing. And prefabs also create more freedom when it comes to what sort of types of buildings that you want to make, just because that is part of the design spec. Like you can have landing pads that will work as a landing pad as soon as you put it down, or a refinery that's going to work properly as a refinery as soon as you put it down. You don't have to fiddle with it. You don't have to engineer it yourself and stuff like that. Again, great systems can be done with those sort of not limitation, but with that sort of constraints, but not in Star Citizen, I want to say. So I hope that they stick to the broad strokes when it comes to base building instead of super fine details.
Okay. Axis, same question to you. What are some pitfalls, some issues that CIG might run into when designing base building?
Well, remember, we're just getting the initial base building. What I'm worried is with the initial rollout. Now, this is for totally different direction than the other two guys here. They're going to limit what you can build compared to what players are expecting. Kind of a curb your enthusiasm type moment. But hear me out. We had this happen with Salvage, remember? Salvage was supposed to be this big, huge rigmarole, and they're still having to implement things, and I understand that, but there were a lot of people very disappointed with how Salvage was portrayed initially, and then when it arrived, they're like, this isn't very different, or it's Power Scrubber Simulator or something like that.
It's called agile development. This is standard practice.
Yeah.
I don't speak for them. I take what I can get.
I will say one of the things that I'm concerned about is specifically how they're going to deal with base raids, but also base how to put this the right way?
Abandonment?
Not abandonment. Abandonment is one of my concerns, but it's more of like a base persistence. Because what's going to happen when bases first come out? Almost certainly, everyone is going to try to build a base because it's the new shiny. Everyone wants to do it. And so you're going to have...
Do you think they'll come online with Maelstrom, though?
Possibly. Almost certainly. But that means that, like, day one, the servers are going to implode. Because...
Like they're doing now.
Yeah. Like they're doing now, and you don't want them to do that with your new shiny material. So like how are they going to manage this sort of gigantic increase of assets of entities which are going to be spawned in, and then having to be rendered consistently, and when everyone is going to be doing it, that's a thing. It's like, so CIG is going to have probably some breaks on it. There's probably going to be some requirements before you can even do it in the first place, which I think is going to rub people the wrong way. if you come out and say you can't build even though the base building's here until you go get X, and X is a building permit or, you know, something else, some other sort of mission-based activity, gamers are going to get...
Or reputation-based, because reputation is like
Yeah.
the most
We love
broken things about the game
bureaucracy.
right now.
We need more bureaucracy.
We
in these
do,
games.
but-
CIG loves time sinks. Bureaucracy is the perfect time sink.
I love me some forms signed in triplicate. You know, that's
Exactly.
that's
Why did I just get the flashback of that Asterix movie? You know the one I'm talking about, right?
yeah.
Space Coder. Where when they're in Rome, and then you have to go
Right.
get like a permit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So like, but I mean like that's going to be obviously an issue. So that's definitely a big pitfall they're going to run into, is that how do you deal with an increased amount of information coming out while also encouraging players to play your game and test it, and then what's going to happen between, say, let's say it comes out, you know, in 4.3. If it comes out, the first version comes out in 4.3, what's going to happen in 4.4? Are they going to reset all of the bases? Or are they going to let you keep those spaces there even longer? And then are we going to wait until a big reset happens with bases? And so like...
Well, currently the way they're doing resets is even going from one patch to another is that they're not resetting everything, are they? It's like...
No, they're not resetting everything. They don't want to reset everything.
Yeah.
And that's my problem, is that
Exactly.
like I feel like they're going to have to with base building until they have an idea of like how base building is going to function better. They're going to have to like reset the base builds, and I think that's going to also piss people off, because
Think
like,
of it from the
hours.
perspective of now, you know, like a few months into a patch running, you will go to a landing zone or a station, and there's boxes of medical gowns everywhere. There's empty bottles everywhere.
That was on who was it? A friend of mine, another streamer from Oklahoma. He made this comment, Midnight Wolf. He
Mhm.
made this comment about all the abandoned garbage on either Salty Mike, no, his morphologist video, and he shouted him out. He's like, I gotta agree with this. This abandoning crap in like the flight path, you know, to hangars and stuff, it's
Mhm.
getting kind of ridiculous. There needs to be a system to kind of cull a lot of that. And I'm
There
inclined
needs to be like
agree.
a core of janitors, both FPS and ship, that we're gonna go
And-
around and clean up stuff. Yeah, they
Yeah.
could be based in Slovenia, called the Dark Janitors. I don't mind.
But I mean, you get my point, right? Like there's like, if you,
Yeah.
because you know what the players are going to do. Some players are going to try to rebuild the Taj Mahal out of these damn things. You know, to try to they're going to be doing some crazy stuff with it, because this is Star Citizen, and people will do crazy stuff, especially if it's an alpha and, you know, things are going to get changed around and such. But like, this is going to impact performance unless they set some limits to it in some way, shape, or form. And I think that is also a pitfall, because without setting that expectation ahead of time, people are going to go, oh, base building's released. I'm going to go build a base, and it's not going to be wiped for another 2 years until they reach 1.0, or, you know, 6 years they reach 1.0. And then they'll find out, like, no, it's getting wiped two weeks afterwards because of a bug. And then people baby rage, you know, like they do the gamer rage. And like, so there are definitely some issues I can see with base building as it's being implemented, because I don't know if CIG fully has those ideas yet. So,
CIG having a complete idea of what they're doing and all the implications.
impossible.
Has that ever happened? It's gonna go like this. I'm gonna make a video about this is gonna be a problem. CIG are gonna say, no, that's not gonna be a problem. Fast forward 3 years, it's a problem.
Yeah.
I bring it up
And
every show. I said this about ship paints, and it's a problem now, and they admitted it, and I was right, and y'all were wrong.
Is your channel name I Told You So? .se?
Not yet, but the name change coming soon.
By the way, Paul, there's something I promised to chat I would do, because you forgot to turn off sounds in the pre stream. So let's see if I can do this properly. This is for Iris, by the way.
Okay.
Genesis.
There we go. Perfect.
There we go.
I didn't forget to turn off.
Spend their
Yeah.
spend their hard-earned points on that, and it didn't play. So there you go.
I do that intentionally to trap them so that they don't play that over again. If you don't know what we're talking about, watch my office hours live streams. That is emotes, voice emote spams or audio emote spams has become a thing. So, all right. So we've talked about some of the pitfalls.
Basically, when Paul goes away for like 10 minutes to go to the bathroom or something, I turn on emote only chat, and chat just spams voice redeems. So.
It's so bad that, like, you know how like YouTube doesn't catch it unless it's like 30 seconds long or more? These clips are like less than 5 seconds, and they spam the, I have a Braveheart freedom where like he's screaming freedom. Yeah. And they spam it so much.
Requested it now, yeah.
They spammed it.
Unfortunately, I don't have the orchestral background to it, or else I would do it. You know, it just feels like I'm not putting, you know, all the energy I could into it if I didn't have that to back me up.
They've spammed it so much that the YouTube copyright bots catch exactly what it is. They know exactly what it is and keep claiming it every single time. It's like,
I mean, you added it. I mean,
I
you
did.
had the power to remove it.
Yeah, but there would be a riot if I removed it.
Yeah.
All right. So we've talked about what base building is. We've talked about what base building, like some of the downsides of base building. So what are some of the advantages? What does CIG get when they add base building? What are the things that what are the advantages to the average player that base building exists? I'll start with you, Axis, on this one.
Well, you get a staging area for your org.
Okay.
Depending on if you have a big enough area, because we know some super orgs are huge.
Mm-hmm.
You get
I have no idea what
everything
you're
from a local meetup for your friends to that's how I should have phrased it, to a staging area for your org. If you had the huge land claim that was available at the dawn of time and not available anymore, you have your own private mining area, provided mining nodes are anywhere in that 8-kilometer space. So, got to remember things do shift around. So,
yeah. Darsh, what are your thoughts? Like, what does base building add to the game?
Creates points of interest that CIG is way too busy to implement themselves in a universe that is going to become so big that people just can't comprehend how big it's actually going to be. Like I said, like staging areas, refueling stations, you know. Actually, you know, I've changed my mind. I don't want a sandwich shop. I want the diner from Spaceballs. You know the one?
Yes.
Space soup and a space special.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that sort of stuff. It's like you're going to create point of interest and content that are just organically going to grow, and you know organizations are going to work with other organizations to create networks, and it's going to fill out the universe.
Okay.
And CIG is not going to have to do anything if they give the power to the people, which is great. We're going to do it for them. Okay. And yeah, that's the biggest upside that I feel that base building is going to create.
Space Cutter, same question.
First of all, I have no idea who these super orgs you're talking about are. Never heard of them.
You're not part of one?
Accusation.
Yeah. You're not a major officer in one or anything like that, you know?
No. Definitely not. No such thing happening here. Second, you know, for the players, it's good because you have a place that is your own, either as an individual or as a group with your friends or with your org. And I think a lot of people have this drive to like have something that's their own, done their way and for themselves. And that's okay. That's just basic human psychology. And for CIG, this is great. Because if you have a base or a big base, you now have an incentive to stay in place. And you're not going to go around blowing through all the content and all the locations and then pestering CIG to make more.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, so what I'm hearing from a lot of you, and this is going to be a follow-up question to this, and I'll start with you based on the Space Cutter. Is this a org is this an org thing? Does this only exist for orgs?
No.
No.
Because
Or at least if CIG
everything I
do
just
this
heard,
properly.
everything I just heard from y'all say is like it's a staging base for
Sure,
friends and
sure.
org. It's an org base for manufacturing. It's a place for like all I'm hearing is orgs.
There's so many people that just want to put down roots. It's like
Mhm.
I don't know what it's like in over there in the States, but like in Europe, a lot of people don't own just one item of property. They have the home, and then they have a cottage somewhere
Mhm.
on a lake or up in the mountains or
Y'all
where
can
the
afford
vineyard
that?
is.
I was about to say like I was gonna say
It's-
Europe
it's
is a different world where you can own property suddenly, you know.
It's fucking tiny. Is what
Yeah.
it is, and yeah, current generation not so much. It's something you inherit.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I own property and the bank robs me every month for me to keep the property.
Yeah, this is true. No, but what I'm saying is like there's gonna be so many places where single individuals are just gonna put up a fishing shack, or somewhere where the view is too good to pass up, and you
Okay.
just want to go there, every once in a while just to unwind. Why
So
not?
One thing I'm curious about
Mhm.
regarding, how the AI has advanced. Somebody kind of hinted at that in, I think it's Dragon Wolf. I want to kind of elaborate a little bit further. We're supposed to have AI wandering planets eventually.
at some point, yeah.
I wonder if we have like an open door policy settlement, if we would be able to tax AI that would reside in our settlement, like a mayor or something.
So,
Very
like,
much like
You
SimCity or
you want to
Civilization.
be a landlord?
He wants Mandalords. He wants Mandalords Star
No,
Citizen.
no, no,
Warlord.
no. So what I'm saying is, we may not always be able to
Star-Lords, no way, that's a thing.
online, but it's very like a full scale like civilization.
So
scenario.
you're saying you're like using AI to help protect and maintain an area where it's not just for one person, but it might be for a group that you gathered.
Yeah, like in a region, you're not. What's the word I'm looking for? You're like near an already established NPC area, like a UGF or something like a small town. They wander over. They work, say it's a mine. They work in your mine. You pay them their wages. They go on their way, right?
Mhm.
So, I don't know if they're going to go with that level of intricacy, but you never know.
Mhm.
The longevity of this project, we could see some really incredible developments in the
So
AI.
on that, I recently learned that
2955 basically.
Yeah.
I recently learned that as a matter of fact, I don't have a master's degree in software engineering. I have a master's degree in economics.
Okay. Hey. I should say, hey, fellow depressed person. Hey, welcome.
Yeah.
The dreary science strikes again.
And while the idea of star taxes excites me immensely, I don't want this. Like this is gonna be very, very, very insane and very difficult. And I would like this, but I don't want this. I don't want CIG. I don't want some poor bastard CIG to learn how this works and do it.
Oh God.
What sort of level do you think the VAT instance is going to be, though?
It'll depend. The VAT is going to be depending on the each of the locations. So you're going to have different tax rates depending on the jurisdiction you're in. So you're going to have to calculate that already.
Well, there's going to be UEE taxes if you're in the UEE, right?
Yeah, and then you also have planetary taxes. So you also have to be paying. So you have two different levels of taxes on top of that, plus local taxes if there's a local independent like.
Well, I mean, if there are going to be UEE taxes, I'm going to be asking
Shut up! Taxation is not theft. Taxation without representation is theft. But taxation itself pays for your police force, your firefighters, your medical. Oh yeah, you don't know about that, but here in Europe, taxes actually pay for,
Pay for those things. Actually, pay for
no, you
things.
see,
Yeah.
if
I'd love for
taxes
those
are going to
things.
be the thing in the UEE, I'm going to go to the UEE IRS and I'm going to ask them the same question I ask people at payroll at my work, and it's like, can I claim my cat as a dependent?
But that he means caterpillar,
Can I
right?
claim my copian as a dependent?
No, his caterpillar.
Yeah.
Perfectly legitimate question.
It
My
requires
cat's my
me.
baby.
Yeah.
I house her and I feed her and I take her to the doctor. I think that counts as a dependent.
Yeah.
Space Coder, like, is this for solo players at all? Like you said, yes. What do you think this is for solo players?
If CAG do this correctly, so I believe base building should be sort of available at all levels. Like if you want to have a homestead in Pyro, you should be able to do that. If you and your group want to have a base of operations for, I don't know, you want a mining and refining outpost, and you want to mine resources that you found in an area, you should be able to do that, with 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 people.
Mhm.
And if you happen to be the member of a mega org and you want to create a massive base with shipyards, you should also be able to do that. And I'm reminded by my senior director right now that apparently that falls under my division, and it's apparently my problem.
So regardless of CIG intends certain aspects of base building to fall under not single player, but one player purview or organization purview, you guys know that there is going to be one dude, and he's going to be a guy because anybody else is not that stupid, that's going to go through the entire tech tree solo to build a station with a shipyard and build a bangle.
Yep.
I hope he's got like 8 hands.
That's implied in he's multi-boxing on 20 alt accounts.
Yeah.
To farm the resources and the research on this.
Yes, and his name is
Dr. Activities.
I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it because it's mean.
No, it's apparently gin and tonic. So
it's gin and tonic. Gin and tonic.
Volunteering.
I was gonna say it's Cutlet, and his name is Space Cutlet.
That's a deep cut. I haven't heard that name in a while.
Just because it's like if there's one person I can figure out who can break the game in a way that can make it work for him, it's Space Cutlet. He has discovered more ways of pirating than CIG has ever thought existed. So, but yeah. No.
Speaking of names I haven't heard in a while, where's Mayonnaise asking me how much my drink costs?
That's a good question. Yeah, where's Mayo? I will say that I think I would like it to be a soloable pit, because I think the majority of the gameplay associated with it is going to be with orgs, but the orgs themselves aren't required for it. However, I do think that there is going to be gameplay that's locked off for base building without an org, because as you said, there is going to be some mad lad who's building the whole tech tree and doing everything himself. But most people won't, because CIG, at least in their presentation of it, seems like they're very much like, it's going to require a village to raise this family, to raise this child, of this planet, of this base, because you're going to need a lot of folks with different specialties to be able to do those things, because it's going to be very difficult to specialize in everything, which I do think is good. Because what that does is it forces players to diversify or to rely on other people. Because I hate, as someone who plays a lot of survival games, I absolutely hate when you have to bum rush the tech tree to get the best gear, and people will just find out the most meta way of optimizing the tech tree, and it's like, but this is supposed to be a survival game. You're supposed to help with each other, and you're not supposed to be able to build an AK-47 out of a box of nails. This doesn't make a lot of sense. One person shouldn't be able to do all this.
Yeah. What do you mean I cannot build a Kalashnikov out of a box of nails? My grandfather taught me this.
Yeah. Well, yours would. Yeah, yours would. No, but I hope that the atmosphere in terms of like the entire tech tree that it's created is one of cooperation, because I don't want to have to know, like have to have 3 levels in sidearms and 5 levels in whatever, just to build my sandwich empire.
Yeah.
I would just want to have the sandwich stuff, the bread and the cheese and the meat, and and that's about it.
Yeah.
But yes, so specialization is something that should be encouraged, and you should be able to use the entire universe at your disposal to get there, to help you with other aspects of base building. Like maybe I don't even want to build my own base.
No.
Maybe I want to hire someone to build my base.
There's actually whole orgs that want to go around building bases
For people.
with
Yeah.
pioneers and stuff. And it actually sounds like a good idea, because who's gonna just drop $900 right now?
Yeah. Or even like, because you can imagine getting a pioneer in game is going to be very difficult to do. It's not going to be a simple, easy thing. It's already super expensive out of game, so it's going to be super expensive in game to acquire. And can you imagine trying to solo level yourself up to getting not only the pioneer, but possibly even the reputation that you need to even get the tech specs to be able to get the blueprints to be able to build a base with a pioneer?
Yeah, it's like but not just that, like to get the blueprints to build the higher tier bases.
Yeah.
And the research facilities, like it's gonna have to be a tier 5 sandwich research facility for me. It's like I'm not gonna settle for anything else. Like someone's gonna have to do that.
The best research, the best sandwich research money can buy.
Exactly.
One thing you're not mentioning about for individual players is base building, even a small one, gives them a place to expand their inventory without going into a major landing zone,
which everyone wants. Yeah. But
basically everybody has a set inventory cap on their armor, their backpacks, and their armor pieces. So by even remotely having some sort of internal storage, it gets you away from the city and waiting for queues and stuff, assuming they do it the first time, even this year.
Yeah.
This could literally change the game, even for the individual player, massively.
Giving him more of a place to dump stuff, Now,
yeah, and separate it. Yeah.
Let's talk about the stuff that's sort of connected to it, but also separate from it, because you bring that up as a good point, because I want to talk about things like apartment buildings or other ways of acquiring a residence that doesn't involve base building. Does that itself, because it's something that CIG wants to do and has talked about, is one of the reasons why the dynamic building interior technology is being developed, does that kind of complement, or does that sort of clash with the idea of base building?
I want to say compliment, and I'm going to get back to that after I get my refills. So,
okay.
Do continue.
Space Coder, what do you think? Do you think it's something that is connected to base building, or is it something that is specifically like that kind of competes with it in terms of player attention or player agency?
I think it complements it, because especially when you start building bigger bases, and let's assume NPC crew, let's call it crew for a base, exists. You're going to need facilities to house that NPC crew on that facility. But also, if you want, if you have especially big org base, you're probably going to have people, like players, stationed there for some amount of time to do something. Either they're doing some research or they're building something in there. And you're going to need an apartment and some food facilities and that kind of stuff for that person to log off for the night, to get some food for their character. And, I think in that way, you're going to have org bases that are going to have, an apartment complex attached to them, or like a barrack. And depending on the quality of that accommodation, like if it's a barrack, yeah, maybe you don't, because they talked about penalties for a character if you're not resting in the right environment. I don't know if that got slashed already.
Mhm.
But maybe if it's a barrack, then yeah, your character is not as fast. Your skills are deteriorating. But if it's an apartment building, it's nice. There's a gym. You're not losing your skills that fast. Could be definitely an interesting way to play Sims in Star Citizen.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of where they're moving towards. Axis, what do you think? Do you think apartments and that sort of pre-made player housing in landing zones, do you think that is sort of defeats the purpose of base building, or do you think it complements it?
It complements it, and also it's in dire need of a revision at the moment. Remember, before 4.0 went online, we were at 110 players per cap?
Something like that. Yeah, it's 100. Yeah.
And then before that, we were set up for 50 player.
Mhm.
Right now, it's hard for people to log in. We have queues to even get into our apartments.
Mhm.
So I hate to say it, but right now, one of the reasons why we won't expect base building immediately is because they need to redo the landing zones a little bit by putting in more apartments. Because we only have one in each major landing zone, and it's kind of bottlenecking people into getting into the landing zone. Well, while that may be a good thing, the game is the player population is starting to outgrow the infrastructure of the actual game itself.
Well, it's the apartments that are the problem. When you think about Orison, I think it's 12 floors and it's like 6 apartments per floor. So that's like 60 plus people. I'm not very good at math that can log
72.
in at one point. Yeah, but there's only one elevator.
Yeah.
That
Right.
all of those people have to wait on, and elevators never work.
And if they do work and everyone piles into one, you kill at least one person in that elevator. So,
I'm surprised nobody's put a post.
CIG needs to nerf elevators and stairs.
What we need are slides or firefighter poles.
And it's also important to remember that those apartments we have now are not your apartment. You spawn in and you leave.
No, that's a hotel.
Yeah, that's a hotel basically.
Yeah.
And you don't even get it's not like a
Terribly
hotel because you
designed
can't
one.
even go back. Once you leave, you're done. So
That's
like
right.
So yeah, I mean that's a good point, which is like you're talking about how like the infrastructure right now is already stretched because it's not built to handle the player base it's experiencing, especially in Stanton. So, it can help relieve that infrastructure problem alongside base building, which will also do the same thing because it'll move people away from the main cities and into like remote areas where they're not having to overload the login queue for that.
That's why
region.
I kind of think both base building and the expansion of the internals of the city are kind of complementary because it opens out not only the interior of the city for more players to come in, but what do you do with more of those players as it continues to grow? You build other places outside the main hubs that they can log into in addition, because it further expands the web. It's
But
actually
that would
pretty
require
smart.
more public transport. There's no budget for more public transport right now.
That was in last year's work. So what happened to that, CIG? We need answers.
They did talk about that at one point with an underground rail system that would run between the different locations. So
The underground rail system in Orison. Yeah.
Yeah.
You could still see shuttles or something like that going to the different platforms because they already have that infrastructure set up because they have platforms, and you don't need a transportation system in Orison because you just land at the platform. They just need some way of storing the ship when you land. You go to a place that has
and also
pad
as you
that goes
approach,
down.
you need like
Permission.
an approach corridor, and that.
Yes.
They try that. It didn't
think-
go well.
I think they can bring it back. I've been saying it's going to come back at some point, anyways, because it's going to be needed.
They need to.
Yeah.
Yeah, they need to bring it
there's-
back maybe a little bit better than the first time.
Yes.
I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked the
There's-
idea of it, just the execution was lacking.
Yeah.
there's some vestiges of it as you approach the jump point, because only when you're approaching the jump point and you have the quantum drive on, do you see the augmented reality approach corridor. But if you veer from it, it doesn't, autopilot control you and take you back on it. That part, I believe, I think at least is something that they need to work on. But the actual visuals and actual idea of it is sound.
Yeah.
So especially when you're approaching, it's easier now. But there was a big, long time when you were approaching spaceports and you had no idea where they were.
Yeah.
Right.
That was the problem. They wouldn't show up on your HUD, and it would be difficult to find them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now you have a giant blinking light. That helps.
Yeah. So now they have like Area 18 has like a huge tower of lights that extends up into the past the clouds to guide you in.
Cuban talks about it's like you want the freedom to move out of the corridor, though. Yeah, I think you should have the freedom to move out of the corridor, but there should also be consequences for moving out of the corridor.
Yes.
Like, especially in places where it's like more high traffic, it's like you move back in the corridor, or we're going to shoot you, because we think you're deviating.
The issue was that it was really dumb the way it did it, because it stopped you, it turned you around, and then it drove you into a building.
Yeah. Instead
of just slightly nudging you back towards the area you were supposed to be in.
Similar to
like self-driving lane correction is these days.
Or like kind of like how they have jump points where like you can't control the speed, but you're going in one direction, you kind of maneuver. It's something like where they would lock you into a speed, you go into the location, and you can like veer here and there once you've locked into the corridor, but you're not going to be able to go like, wee! It'll just be like, nope, you're going to have to come back to the center sort of thing.
Yeah. It's just the way the game guides you back is what was fault.
That was the problem. Yeah. It was the overcorrection. So ask the same question for you, Darsh, and then I'm going to use the restroom quickly, which is, do you think the apartments are complementary, or do you think they clash against base building, the concept of base building, since they're both player housing?
Yeah. Like I said before, complementary, just because every location that I visit semi-frequently, I don't want to build my own thing at. I would be perfectly happy with an existing location or infrastructure to just be there and allow me to utilize it and pay rent for it, even though I'm not there every day. Fine. Because that's just how it is in the real world. You pay for hotels, motels, infrastructure is there to be used. It's not someone's private plaything when you go into a city. Paul's not here to
Star Citizen rent control when.
Oh no! What is it? What was it? What's the thing that's very popular in Florida? Not co-locate. Yeah, it's basically co-location, but not for servers.
Timeshares.
What's the thing called? Timeshares. Yeah, timeshares. Yeah.
All right. All right. So I'm going to let the very last question that I have.
We're more or less on time today.
Yeah. This is the question, the main question.
Oh shit! I need to stretch that out.
We'll move on to the question and answer session, so it's not too long. But the main question I have for you is base building good for Star Citizen? Does this improve the game? Does it add something to the game that would improve the game's experience? I'll start with you, Space Coder.
That's a tough question. I'm gonna say yes.
Okay.
But that's coming from a place of me as a person who likes building in games and as an industrial player mostly. And like I want to build a factory. Like I played too much Satisfactory. I want to build factories now. As a thing,
the plague of my YouTube subscription feed, not subscription, but like my home feed, is Satisfactory videos.
Yeah, and
never
it kind of gives
a single video. I've never showed any interest in the game. I know it's fun. It can be fun. Not for me. I click do not recommend channel, do not recommend. I don't like the video, but every couple of weeks it's back. It's like it's just like it's like a tick I can't get rid of. Sorry.
YouTube algorithm is trolling you. I like that.
Yeah,
but at the same time, it gives a sort of a productive time sink to the player where, oh well, yeah, I don't want to do the storyline. I don't really want to do like any of the missions, but hey, I have some credits, I have some materials stored away, and I have a claim beacon. So I'm gonna go ahead and build myself a little cottage, get something growing, maybe get a refinery in there. Oh, it's gonna get me my own fabricator in there, so now I don't have to use the communal one anymore. So, no longer waiting in a queue for a fabricator at the R&R. And I think a lot of people are gonna do that. And at the same time, I don't think it detracts anything from the game because you can opt out of this.
Okay.
Like, if you're not interested in building, if you're okay with using community facilities so you can just ignore it. Would I rather CIG make the game work? Yes, but I'm assuming they. Well, I haven't been able to log in like 2 weeks. So
Are you stuck in Orison?
No. I'm not even at Orison. I logged into Area 18. I did 2 hauling missions, and now I can't log in anymore. That's
one thing that I've seen fixes it for people is logging on to someone like a friend that has a successful connection, because your connection somehow is broken and it keeps forcing you to a shard that doesn't exist anymore.
I might try that. That's a good one.
I've also
found, assuming that CIG are gonna do the same, like they're gonna do new features and playability at the same time. They certainly have enough developers for it.
Mm-hmm.
That's sort of a segue or shameless plug. I'm gonna have a video about this on Monday because I decided to talk about testing and explain to people how testing works in software.
Nice. Okay, good. Go watch that. It's the Space Coder, right? On YouTube.
The Space Coder on YouTube.
Yeah.
This week I did a thing about murder hobos.
Nice.
The comments are. Go read the comments. The comments are great.
You want to tell me about the comments? I made the most I did the YouTube thing, and I thought, okay, what's the most controversial title I could make something? And one of the last questions of the last Captain's Table was about Death of a Spaceman. So I made the title Death of a Spaceman, both Death of a Spaceman. Is it good? And I called it Dead on Arrival ? And it worked. Lots of people clicked it. But the comments are like, everyone hates Death of a Spaceman if you read the comments. But it's like, I know that's not the case, but
Something I keep telling you, Paul, is you need to go through all your comments for the past year, like January 1st, 2024 to December 31st, 2024. And you need to get the best comments, and then you need to make a video where you read
the comments,
the best, like the spiciest.
The spiciest, yes.
The whole video, it wasn't even like inflammatory. The idea wasn't to be controversial. I was just there is no law system and there's like no long-term consequences. Once they are there, most of this is gonna fix itself. And the comments are just frustrating for me to read. But at the same time, like I have to resist the urge to reply to about 90% of them. Thank you for the comment.
Yes.
Thank you for engaging with my video.
Yes.
Like that video is the best performing video on my channel in my entire time on YouTube in the first week. Like that video.
It be like that. It be like that.
It do be like that.
It be like that. Like you make something out of just like I'll make this, and you take 20 minutes out of your day and do it, and then it becomes this huge big thing. You're like, I didn't even put
oddly enough,
I
actually took care because I started writing it, and I just look at all the ideas, and it's like a 25-minute video.
But it's not something you're like passionate about. It's not something like that you're like super interested in. It's just something that's just a topic, right?
Yeah, I just I like the idea of like reputation and sort of consequences and law enforcement from a code perspective. So I didn't even talk about it. I was just like talking about how these systems could work and what they could do. And it turned out in the 25-minute video, and People loved it. People hated it. People called me an idiot in the comments. People sent me death threats. It's all over the place.
All right, let's move on to them because we're almost done.
Don't send death threats, folks. Don't be that guy.
Don't be that guy. We have to turn you over to the authorities.
Yeah, please don't. Darj, I don't want to have to talk to a cop about some weird dude on the internet. It's, constantly threatening people.
Yeah, exactly.
Darsh, same question. Does base building belong in Star Citizen? Does it have a place there?
Well, didn't we? Was that the first question?
No, the first question was, what
is
is base building in the game?
Oh, right, yeah.
You tried to. You already answered it. Yeah.
But my answer. Yeah, but my answer is just tied to that one. Is like, yes, I do think it belongs in Star Citizen just because it's going to exponentially increase the network of points of interest that people will be able to go to, even if there's no marker for it, even if there's no mission to go there, to go somewhere. You'll be able to chance upon someone's little, bootstrap town that they've created. Just they can have the best view they possibly want, or just because they found that the Copions spawn very delicious meat at a particular part of the forest or whatever. But yeah, I think it does primarily just because it's going to fill the game with more content. Like half of it is going to be shit. It's going to be abandoned single, dwelling outposts until CIG creates abandoned outpost garbage collection. But there's a good chance that half of it is going to be something interesting. So yeah,
legendary grade Copian steak confirmed.
And that is what my sandwich empire is going to be built on. God damn it.
Axis, same question. Do you think that base building has a place in Star Citizen? Is it good for Star Citizen?
Absolutely, if implemented right.
Okay.
That's the key. See, if it's, I want to say, if it's only limited to people with specific vehicles, that's going to miss a mark. Like say only Pioneer owners can use it initially. That's going to make a whole bunch of people at the low end of the spectrum angry. Accessibility is the first point. Second point is the land area thing. Sure, we're not going to have an issue with it at first, but once more people hear about this, they're going to probably come in for curiosity. And will the servers take it, even getting that many more new people into the game at all? The landing zones right now, like we were saying earlier, are kind of taffy pulled. So just imagine 3 times more people, 1,500 per server. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see where CIG takes server meshing at this point, because that is going to be a huge driving force behind just how many points of interest and how many buildings and how many people are going to be in a single area. Right now we have, I think in 4.0 we or is it 4.0.1 that we have a server per planet in Stanton and server per planet in Pyro. But that's just going to have to get a lot more granular when base building comes online, just because there's going to be so much more to keep track of.
Mm-hmm. I think
so many more objects per container.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the entity count.
Unless you make that many more containers. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look, there is gonna be a guy who has like 2,000 hours on Factorio or Space Engineers on Satisfactory, be like, so I built a base that can produce 10,000 arrows every hour.
He's going to exist.
Yeah.
I know at least 3 of them.
And one of them is on the show right now.
Yeah. The other one is gin. It's gin and tonic. Yeah. I will say, to answer the big question, I think it has a place. I'm still concerned it might be a little bit too I don't know if it's right. To
Is it not the right time? for it
gatekeeping.
yet?
I mean, like it can force people out of certain aspects of the game, because there's going to need to be a lot of things like for instance, fabrication. We don't have any. We have one ship that has a fabricator, technically two, because if you look at the
Odyssey.
Reclaimer.
does the Odyssey have a fabricator?
Reclaimer.
Reclaimer doesn't have a fabricator. It has a
Also, you have the Pioneer. You got the Galaxy with the building module.
true.
Yeah.
There's gonna be the Atlas
I meant
chassis
Galaxy,
building
yeah.
truck,
Yeah.
and there's gonna be the
But that's not a-
hover trolley. But that's not a fabricator. That's not a fabricator.
Yeah, it's not a
So-
fabricator. So like a fabricator it's on the Pioneer, it's on the Galaxy, and the Ironclad's going to have a version of it. But like, we don't know
Like,
how many.
I think the first one that's coming is that like the hover cart. That is what they started their presentation on.
I'm separating the fabrication from base building though, like because fabrication is like building ships.
But
and stuff
that lets you to
build
start base
ship.
building and
Base building, which is fine,
Yeah.
which is good, but that means you have to build base building if you want to get access to a fabricator, which is one of the things I'm concerned about, because there may be these people who want
if you want to have
stuff.
like a huge fabricator, sure,
Yeah.
you would need to start with base building.
So I would love to be the booze king of the Star Citizen universe. So just make really niche distilled spirits that I can then sell for money and for like novelty, right? Dar's the
Right,
sandwich king. I'm the like the whiskey king or whatever.
The Radagast Baron.
The Radagast Baron. There we go. But I don't necessarily want to build a base, right? A base would be nice, but I don't want to have to like build a base just so I can have a distillery so that I can make my booze. Could I be able to make it on my own? And this isn't about like what I want. It's just more of that's where I can see that problem being, is that if you block out some element of the gameplay that has other ramifications, because you have to have a base for it.
But how would you do it otherwise? You'd need like a ship that can do it for you.
You'd need to have a ship to do it for you, which would be have to be accessible. And that's the only question I have is like
the Drake Cutlass Moonshine.
Yeah, the bootlegger.
No, because it's Drake. It would be Grog. It would be Moonshine.
True.
Moonshine's more like
the Origin liqueur.
Yeah.
The Drake Cutlass still.
The Origin cognac. Yeah. I mean the Cutlass already has a bucket, right?
Yeah.
There you go.
Cutlass bucket. Yeah, there we go. But yeah,
no. So you would need a ship that has the fabricator. Like the Carrack has like a very small fabricator, at least in the maintenance room.
Yeah.
But yeah, then the Galaxy is the one that. But the Galaxy is the base building one. There's no like pure fabrication. It's the only one that they confirmed is the Pioneer, and the Pioneer is a limited chassis ship. It's not even that it's expensive.
Well, they were talking about a fabricator module, and that's what everyone thought was and then they said that was the base building module. That was my theory was that originally fabrication was base building, and they were the same thing, and then at somewhere along the lines in the design documents they diverged. And so,
because a fabricator is a module that is either a standalone thing you can put on a ship, or is big enough that it's its own building. At which point you need to have base building to create it. Yeah,
but I think that initially the fabricator was just what they called base building, and then they was going to do base building and do like building other things, and then somewhere along the lines they had that split, which is where they had the confusion of like. Specifically saying the Galaxy can build bases, and then John Crew being like, "We never said that." And it's like, yes, you did. Your bosses did, and that's because
it was in the presentation. It was the hover cart, it was the Atlas chassis, it was the Galaxy, and then it was the Pioneer. That was in the animation.
But
the Galaxy is definitely base building.
But
the whole part with like it was the same thing, and then they had a look at the design document and it split. That gave me PTSD flashbacks to some meetings I had over the last month.
But you know what I'm saying? That's obviously
because
the
that's
case.
exactly what happens. Is like if someone takes a look, like the PM, the project manager, or the product owner, they write a document like this is what the customer wants.
Mm-hmm.
then the Scrum Master shows it to the developers, and the developers go like, "Heck no!" Like that's 10,000 story points is gonna take us 5 years. And there's this like back and forth between the three sides of this conversation until they settle on something that's completely different than what was the original design. But it's only gonna take 2 weeks, and it might work eventually. And then they forget to tell the dependencies projects on, and it's.
I want to say with all this, the split thing, maybe they decided to work on base building first, then fabricating items later. Because the only thing we can fabricate right now, short of boxes in salvage, are fuses, which is part of the engineering system, as we know.
And the multi-tool.
And the multi-tool, exactly. So we need some more information on that. And hoping in the next month or so, the next ISC, we get some sort of clarity on that. Because there's just, it seems kind of foggy right now. Are we going to just focus on base building this year as an add-on? Or are we going to get engineering? You know, the three kind of seem kind of interrelated. Some level of it, because when you base build, you're going to have to engineer power plants and stuff, and it's all three. They're all three interrelated. You have to fabricate your modules, fabricate your fuses for engineering your. Yeah.
And see, this sort of system is already way too complicated, which is why I wanted them not to take it further by actually being able to giving players the agency to design buildings as well, because they're not going to get it right.
No. And you're going to mess up. I always do that too. I mess up on a base and I go, I should have redone this, and you have to go back and destroy it if you want to. And a lot of people just abandon it.
And that's going to happen. That's going to happen just like because you find a place and you place your first building, and then the fabricator, and then the power plant, and then you realize as you grow that your power plant and your base building are in the exact wrong place, and you have to tear them down, and then everything stops working because your initial base building was the brains of the entire operation, and it's just like
yeah.
It's called refactoring the build.
Yeah, but it's a pain in the ass, and so that's my only concern. I do think it has a space. I think the base building is a part of Star Citizen in a way that will be a part of Star Citizen in a way that will always feel like it should have been part of Star Citizen. The question I still have though is, I do not want base building to be a requirement for any other gameplay loops. It needs to be a add-on, not a requirement. So you need to be able to fabricate something in your own ship. You need to be able to refine things on your own ships and that kind of stuff. So, man, Darius, you're doing a great job of drawing out this question. Well, that's it for the question and answers, or for the main discussions.
Darius is just hell bent on me going past my bedtime. That's fine.
You're both in the same time zone.
Night.
No, Darius is actually an hour behind me, I think.
Really?
Wait, you are where? You are where exactly?
I'm in Czech Republic, so I'm
the same time zone. Yeah, Central
European.
European. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Shouldn't you be in bed then? I should be.
The only two countries in Europe that aren't in the same Central European time zone are Portugal and Finland. So yeah.
Well, I guess Ukraine then.
No, Ukraine is Central European.
Okay, it's just the way that it gets dropped. Okay,
it's a fake time zone.
All right, y'all. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. Make sure you check out the Space Coder on YouTube, and of course check out the Armory. And what was the other one? It was the
Hauler.
The Hauler. applications. Make sure you check out JRDF to find Darj's work. Fantastic work with modeling and stuff.
JRDF.sc. And I was wrong. Romania, Bulgaria, and Greece, apparently. What? That can't be right. Yeah. Greece?
What?
What?
No.
No. Hold on. We're not ending yet until we get to the bottom of this fucking question right now.
No, he's right. It's already half past midnight in Athens. What?
What?
Okay.
It doesn't make any
But it's the
sense.
same-
Learn this now.
What?
You're like half a day drive from Greece. How can you be in two different time zones?
Yeah, Romania, Bulgaria, Greece, Ukraine. Yeah, you're right. Ukraine,
Okay.
Belarus, Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, Finland. Those are also 1 hour out.
Yeah.
Huh.
I am calling my EU representative. You're kicking out Greece. This is treason. Absolutely heretical.
All right, and then make sure you check out Access 096 and all of his
Hungary, but let's not get political.
his four channels. It's Kick, Rumble, YouTube, and Twitch. Right, Access?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, I posted in.
There you go, in chat. So if you see that down in the chat, those are all of them. And of course, if you enjoyed this, please join us live at twitch.tv/theastropub, youtube.com/theastropub live. For now, you'll eventually be joining us on.
See, this is
The
well,
captain's table. The camera just died. Yeah. You will be able to in the future join us at the Captain's Table Podcast, youtube.com/the Captain's Table Podcast. If I can get that name, I probably can, or at the Captain's Table Podcast.
Is .podcast a TLD you can get?
Possibly. I'll have to take a look at it. That might be a good idea. And that's where this video is going live. So if you're watching this recorded after the fact, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe for more content, and hit the bell icon to be notified of release. As always, I want to hear your thoughts on anything we talked about down below. I do read all the comments. I may not respond to all of them, but I do read all of them. So I do like all of y'all's participation in the last one. It was did really, really well. And we're going to be rolling on to the next question and answer session. So with Space Coder Darj and Access 096. So for those of you watching live, stick around. And for those of you watching the recording, you'll see this up in a couple of days. As always, also remember to join us on Spotify. And like I always say, hope to see you someday in the black.
Goodbye.